thinking about how to invade humans, I actually make these bloodstained demons go cultivate the land, even to make the demon realm soil more fertile. I have them specifically collect fresh shit, but this action completely enrages them. The four great demon generals are planning to join forces and strip me of my position as Demon King. Yet knowing all this, I have absolutely no intention of changing my mind. Because only I know that if I lead the demon army to attack humans now, I will definitely die at the hands of Pink Loveheart. Because that guy is the ultimate character I personally cultivated. Originally, I was just a standard otaku living in the 21st century. But through dozens of reincarnations, when I finally managed to cultivate a max-level, fully equipped character, I was transported into the game world. And looking at the transportation route, it was the one I personally named Pink Loveheart. I thought I could start an invincible and exhilarating life. However, when I saw the flashy appearance I designed and just complained a few words, the next second, the transportation route suddenly changed. And the next target was actually the Demon King of the Demon Realm. I am now the one transported here by this cursed system. I really regret it. I shouldn't have complained about the appearance. At this moment, the arrival of the assistant officer interrupts my thoughts. My Lord Demon King, because you issued farming orders, the demon army's morale has plummeted to rock bottom. Internal violence and illegal cannibalism among our kind are increasing. The furious four demon generals believe the Demon King has grown weak, so they plan to work together to chop off your head. This makes my situation even more difficult. I don't have the strength of a Demon King right now. If those four guys team up, if they see my weak side, I'll definitely be slaughtered. Thinking of this, I suddenly have a brilliant idea. Since I couldn't transport to Pink Loveheart just now, doesn't that mean he's still a corpse? If so, I'll change my mind and directly invade humans. But just as this thought emerges, the assistant officer brings frontline video recordings. And the terrifying existence in the footage is none other than Pink Loveheart. How could this guy be revived? Could it be that someone in reality logged into my account? I absolutely cannot encounter that guy right now, so I must prevent the invasion of humans. This way, showing weakness will result in death by the four demon generals. Invading humans will result in death by the character I created. So thinking it through, the way to resolve this predicament is to solve the food shortage and make these demons quiet. Fortunately, I attended agricultural university on Earth. I have considerable confidence in farming. But reality is cruel. This land in the demon realm has absolutely no nutrition. The same goes for nitrogen, which is an absolutely necessary component for plant growth. However, plants cannot directly use nitrogen gas, which makes up 78% of the atmosphere, because nitrogen gas is bound by strong triple bonds and hardly participates in chemical reactions. Therefore, humans developed nitrogen fixation methods through chemical processes, greatly improving food production. But this world has no technological industrial foundation. So if I want to fix nitrogen in a natural environment, the method would be lightning. Through instantaneous high voltage, nitrogen oxidizes into nitrate. If it mixes with rainwater and is absorbed by the soil, combined with Demon King Kratos' unique magic technique, this becomes ready-made fertile soil technology. So next, I first dismiss the assistant officer beside me. Then I use my demon claws to tear several bloody wounds. But damn it, this is way too painful. But just at this moment of hesitation, I suddenly feel inexplicable killing intent behind me. It's actually the four demon generals secretly watching me. Since that's the case, this bit of pain is better than being killed. So I steel myself and tear deep bloody wounds. However, the pain that comes directly still makes me unable to help but howl. And this also causes the four demon generals, who have been eyeing me like tigers, to all come before me at once. Our great Lord Demon King Kratos, are you feeling unwell somewhere? We have an unwritten rule for demons. The strong one is the Demon King. Hearing this, I'm already breaking out in cold sweat. These four guys are all top warriors, and I can't use any other skills right now. However, what I don't know is that my body trembling from fear appears to them as trembling from gathering power throughout the body before battle, and they even feel tremendous pressure. But fortunately, I'm not the only one rebelling right now. With your current strength, do you think you can defeat all four of us? Then when I confidently turn around, I discover these despicable guys have already quietly hidden behind the big tree. Those lips are clearly expressing that they want to see the results of his battle first before deciding whether to join the fight. This is truly the kind of despicable tactic only demons could pull. But before I can react, the assistant officer beside me directly opens a live broadcast. According to demon tradition spanning thousands of years, this duel will be broadcast live. What the hell? I had specifically tested my strength before, but the result was only a vague feeling. However, before I can react, Vampire Prince Astaroth rushes at me with a long sword. The moment I see that movement, I immediately think it should be a thrust or slash from the game. How could someone who just arrived like me dodge this kind of attack? But the next second, my body skillfully evades it. The second step is the left foot pointing outward, which means he's about to use a thrust. It's exactly the same as the pre-attack animation in the game, and I can even predict all of this guy's movements. Because when I first encountered this guy during my game walkthrough, I didn't even have time to pray. He not only has swift startup attacks, but also wide area attack range. But through countless failures, I finally succeeded in defeating him for the first time after 128 attempts. In subsequent gameplay, I could already toy with him without taking damage. In other words, right now, I definitely won't be hit by this guy's moves, and my roar directly scares all the demon generals. In their eyes, I'm enjoying this moment and roaring at this pathetic Asarath. Little do they know my roar is just celebrating that I've grasped the key point, because this world follows the rules within the game. At this moment, a familiar window suddenly pops up. With amazing focus, you successfully avoided all enemy attacks. As a reward, some previously used game skills will be unlocked. Target lock function. This is actually the key lock function when releasing special skills. Since that's the case, while locking onto the target, I execute the only attack skill I know how to use, Tear Hand. When blood touches this guy, intense flames engulf his entire body. Then the moment the flames extinguish, this guy limply kneels on the ground. But unlike the cheering demons, I'm shocked at his near-death state. This guy took a perfect hit yet still hasn't died. Moreover, this guy has passive health recovery, so he'll rally soon. I must finish him off before he recovers. However, my action appears to these guys as me deliberately controlling my firepower, attacking only to non-lethal levels. The purpose is purely to inflict pain. But just then, the system voice sounds again, brutally tearing Asarath's robes and completely exposing him, therefore unlocking new function, equipment slot armor removal function. What leaves me speechless is that the equipment slot only contains the clothing on my body. It seems this function is temporarily useless. The urgent matter now is quickly dealing with the guy in front of me. The problem is, with my current attack power, I can't kill him at all. But just then, I suddenly have an idea. What if I continuously use Tear Hand on him? In other words, I can inject large amounts of nitrogen into the ground. Currently, it seems these guys should be scared by my actions. So I order Circe to tie this guy up tightly. But Circe thinks this means having a woman tightly bind a naked man, which is insulting both herself and Asarath. A moment later, I first prepare a lightning rod. Then when this guy regains consciousness, I use Tear Hand again. This way, nitrogen in the air will oxidize into nitrate. Then I order Hartok to spread thick fog over this area, so thick that water droplets can be clearly seen falling. Third is releasing the thick fog. Finally, I use Tear Hand again. By repeatedly performing the same operations, I can create high-quality soil rich in nitrogen. If I can achieve a great harvest in the end, just thinking about it makes me excited. So in the following time, I continuously repeat the above actions. The final result is also satisfactory. Nitrogen injection will proceed this way. Next, I need to improve the problem with a single-layer soil structure. This soft, single-layer soil structure neither allows oxygen to enter nor has good drainage. The soil structure should be layered like eggshells to be suitable for cultivation. So what I need to do now is composting. Therefore, I issue another jaw-dropping order. Go find me shit. Hearing this, everyone immediately shows shocked expressions. Those who regard me as a pure demon king even imagine various scenarios. First, as a precedent, applying moisture to rebels, then using flames to roast and dry them, and finally coating them with disgusting coating. This is damn too cruel. Meanwhile, at another place in this world, the newly awakened pink love heart stares blankly at the human city. Though blurry, memories from past lives linger in his mind. This is already the dozens of lifetimes. He once moved toward that direction, following the guidance of the Hand of Mission pointing his way. But now he suddenly disappeared, and the Hand of Mission no longer shows him the path. So where should he go now? Time returns to not long ago. The 3 demon generals I assigned to collect shit now gather together with speechless expressions. Our Lord Demon King wants us to collect shit. Does he want us to personally shit? Just as this idea is voiced, it makes the Ice Queen Circe feel extremely disgusted. But Bahal beside her sets his sights on her. I haven't eaten for a long time, so I can't defecate. Hearing this, Circe becomes furious again. You are insane, don't be interested in my shit. Even if I have to defecate, I don't want to offer this shit to him. So they finally decide to capture low-level demons to defecate. So in the following period, strange scenes occur in the demon military camp. But the demon residents being watched by soldiers have never seen such a scene. The residents say that being watched by so many people makes even the shit they want to defecate retreat back. At least wait outside. At this moment, Hartok walks in, asking why they're dawdling. Can't squeeze it out no matter how hard you try. Hearing this, the resident squatting says his belly is completely empty, unless they pull out his intestines and scrape them. The next second, Hartok thinks this is a good idea. He lifts the defecating resident high up, and plans to directly scrape his large intestine. Fortunately, Bahal arrives in time to stop this behavior. If you empty his belly, that guy will definitely die, and won't be able to defecate anymore. So he needs to be alive to keep defecating. This greatly shocks Hartok. I didn't expect your wooden head could think of these things. If he eats your meat, will this guy defecate shit? As the words end, both of their auras suddenly intensify. Then they launch fierce attacks at each other. Just then, I suddenly appear and use Tear Hand to instantly knock both of them to the ground. You ignorant fools, is this the only guy who can defecate? A moment later in the demon headquarters, I'm still scolding these 2 idiots. Even if you can collect nutritionless shit, what's the point? What I require is shit that can be used for composting. Then I simply explain its use. Compost is material that can provide nutrition to farmland. Regular composting materials include wood ash, weed piles, and farmland soil, plus eggshells and chicken shit. Among these, weed piles and wood ash can be solved by dismantling the abandoned houses we just saw. But the difficulty lies in eggshells and chicken shit. At this moment, I suddenly have a flash of inspiration. I ask the assistant officer to bring the demon territory map. Fortunately, the map is completely consistent with the game. Since that's the case, I quickly think of the perfect place to collect these materials. That would be the demon seagull's habitat. During gameplay, when When wandering around various locations, these guys would appear at any time. This means they can freely consume delicious food in human territory and then return here to defecate and lay eggs. This way, it perfectly meets my requirements. At this moment, the assistant officer, seeing my intention, seriously reminds me. The demon seagull's habitat is also called the Cliff of No Return, because the cliffs there break easily, making it impossible to grip. Once you fall, you'll be swept away by the surging waves. I certainly know what he's reminding me of, because in the game system, players cannot reach that type of terrain. But I have a secret technique. The scene shifts to us arriving at the demon seagull's habitat. This leaves everyone puzzled, unable to figure out what I'm thinking. Since ancient times, many demons have challenged to catch those seagulls repeatedly, but in the end, they all just became food for the waves. At this moment, I tell the 4 people behind me. Later, I'll climb to the top and throw down the filled eggshells. You guys better catch them properly. If this operation succeeds, all demons will have full meals. Then under everyone's gaze, I slowly walk toward the cliff. During gameplay, to reach the summit, though I experienced countless failures, I finally found that method. First, I leap high, then grab the loose cliff. Then I use the equipment removal function. While everyone looks confused, I shout loudly, "Strip!" At this moment, they can't believe their eyes, because I've already wedged my body tightly into the cliff wall, but my back of the head, arms, and smooth thighs are all outside the wall. Then, I suddenly rotate my body. This scene makes the only female demon general terrified and uneasy. However, when I shout equip, I've already put my clothes back on, and I'm even perfectly wedged in the cliff wall. So in the following time, I repeat, naked, equip again. Before long, I successfully reach the top, and in a victor's pose, I look down at everyone. This bug was a method I discovered through countless tests. Because in the game world, there's an inventory window for removing equipment and an absolute air wall that cannot be reached. Combining these facts, I conducted practical tests. As expected, it worked. At this moment, seeing me successfully reach the top, Bahal suddenly says he wants to come help too. Then, before everyone can react, he directly leaps high toward the cliff wall. But without a game system, how could Bahal climb up using normal methods? As I expected, the moment this guy touches the cliff wall, the crumbling wall causes him to fall directly. Just as he's about to fall into the sea, I instantly grab his arm. But this guy's weight is really too heavy, making my arm feel like it's about to break. But then I suddenly think, why should I save this guy? Anyway, for me, he's one of the threats among the 4 demon generals. Wouldn't it be better to have one less? But just as I'm about to give up the rescue, I suddenly remember my good friend, whom I once failed to extend a helping hand to. At that time, because I was too cowardly, I feared becoming another person to be isolated. But thinking about it now, if I could have been a bit braver, if I could have bravely stood up, and even done everything I could to the extreme, perhaps I could still see that brilliant smile. So with inexplicable will surging, I actually throw this guy directly to the summit. Seeing me injured, Bahal says he can't understand my behavior. But I feel that rather than abandoning followers and regretting it, this way is less painful. Just then, the system voice suddenly sounds. Even while not fully adapting to Demon King Kratos' physical body, you still gave your all. Therefore, you have gained the sincere gratitude of Bahal, one of the 4 demon generals. Based on this achievement, if you bring full happiness to your demon army, the system will unlock a mechanism that can accumulate powerful scores. Opening Happiness Accumulation System. After I rescued Bahal from danger, the system gave a new reward. Happiness Accumulation System. From now on, whenever demons feel full happiness, I can accumulate 1 happiness point. Later, these points can be used to purchase ability values. Currently, I'm only using 20% of the Demon King's original strength. The system requires me to first raise my strength to 100%. Then I try clicking to increase stamina. The result shows the system requires 50 happiness points. Currently, these prices seem more expensive than I expected. But thinking carefully, if I can turn barren land into granaries, happiness values will skyrocket easily. After that, I'll be able to become the King of Kings, and my survival rate will also increase. I never thought that in this strange world, having someone feel grateful toward me would be such a wonderful thing. But my evil expression at this moment makes Bahal fantasize again. Damn, his expression is like he'll tear apart anyone who dares disobey. Indeed, Kratos is an evil demon king. He really didn't save me for nothing. The next second, I directly pick up eggshells and order everyone. From now on, I'm going to fill these shells with feces and throw them over. You better catch them properly. Then I hurl the eggshells in my hands forcefully. The sudden attack leaves the 3 unable to react, and they can only stand there dumbly, getting covered in seagull droppings. But I'm only focused on my beautiful dream. This completes the first step of making compost. I carefully mix the collected seagull droppings, eggshells, burned wood ash, and field soil together. Next, I directly order Circe to do this work, because she has many tentacles when transformed. However, hearing this, she immediately becomes furious. Ice Queen Circe's tentacles are not for handling filthy excrement. But the next second, I directly transform into a demon. If you want to sunbathe like Aseroth, I can satisfy your request. However, just as my words fall, Circe starts frantically crushing shit like she's on stimulants. Good job, that was really scary just now. Indeed, when dealing with these hot-tempered guys, I absolutely cannot let my guard down. Next, I order Hartok to spray mist in the air, but he unpleasantly says this will make the smell even worse. However, I just point behind me, and Hartok immediately flies above the fertilized soil. The final stage is placing the fertilizer in a dry place, and covering it with quilts made from seagull feathers. But relying on just these few people for work, the efficiency really can't meet my requirements. Indeed, to create fertilizer that can cover this vast land, I can only mobilize large numbers of demons. Although some parts are tricky, I must do it now, and I must use the Demon King's authority to push it forward. The scene shifts to a simple room where demon residents live. A small demon lies powerlessly on the bed. She's already starving to the point of death. She even asks her father beside her to definitely eat her after she dies. Otherwise, her father might also starve to death. This is the crisis facing the entire demon race. They can't defeat powerful monsters. The Demon King doesn't allow invasion of humans. The life they currently face is such despair. However, just then, the door suddenly opens. After seeing the visitor as me, the child's father shouts, "Lord Demon King!" The next second, I viciously say, "This guy seems to still have strength to speak, so take him away." Just like that, the two who originally had no desire to live are forcibly separated by these demons. What I need to do now is first prevent cannibalism among our kind, then order Hartok to emphasize more labor force. As the Demon King of the demon race, to achieve my goals, I must have this degree of dictatorship. A few days later, residents who have been handling shit feel that what they're doing now is too stupid. How could this broken land become fertile? There aren't even seeds. What are we supposed to plant? At this moment, I suddenly appear behind them, very curious about what to plant. Then I tell them to follow me. A few days ago, while inspecting this barren land, I accidentally discovered this patch of soil with wild-growing purple flowers. The demons following behind say the roots of this plant are poisonous. If accidentally consumed, it might cause severe abdominal pain and even death. Hearing this, I say, anyway, there's nothing else edible in this land. And by now, the experiment on whether it's edible should be complete. The demon looks confused about this. However, my next words make him immediately panic, because the taste tester is actually his own daughter. Then he runs frantically toward home, still praying his daughter is safe. When he opens the door, he sees his daughter eating something. But the daughter says eating this doesn't hurt, and her stomach feels full. Seeing the scene, he tremblingly confirms again. The little girl gives a positive answer. Just then, I appear behind him again. In the distant past, people on a certain land also found ways to turn those poisonous tubers into food, and through successful cultivation, they miraculously solved famine. This plant is called potato. Seeing me arrive, the little girl immediately gets excited. Respected Demon King, to bestow such grace upon humble demons, we're truly grateful. The next second, the system screen suddenly unfolds. Some of your demons have felt happiness. First time gaining happiness points +1. I look at the sincerely grateful girl, thinking that, even as a Demon King, there's no need to always have a stern face. Then I show that signature demonic smile. Little one just need to eat their fill and grow up quickly. Hearing this, everyone breaks out in cold sweat. This isn't about fattening them up to eat them when they're plump, is it? He's truly an evil Demon King. After confirming through the little girl's poison testing that it can be used, with the direction, we begin large-scale cultivation. This is also the first step I take to solve the demon race's famine. At this moment, I admire human greatness. As long as something looks edible, even if it's poisonous, they can process it into delicious food. So after several weeks of hardships, we finally cultivate potato seedlings. Now it's Bahal's turn to take the stage. The next second, he leaps high, then aims at the tender seedlings, and forcefully stamps them with his heel. During these days, at night we freeze the potatoes. During the day we thaw them. Then through Bahal's meteor, stomping to torment them. Through these steps, toxins in the potatoes are released and directly evaporate. Freezing, thawing, stomping, and evaporation. Through these repeated processes, then drying and preserving them, finally roasting them slightly, they become edible wild potatoes. Since I've completed all the engineering, I should summon those demons who did hard labor and let them have a good feast. At this moment, I'm still thinking those guys will definitely eat with great relish. After these guys gather, I tell everyone the quantity isn't much, so each person can temporarily only get 2. Seeing this, the assistant officer curiously asks why I don't distribute all the potatoes. I explain that these can't possibly feed all demons, so the rest must be planted again to multiply by hundreds or thousands. But the demons who receive potatoes dare not eat them, because in their understanding, these are poisonous. Although the girl's father desperately explains these things are edible, the demons who didn't witness it still don't dare believe. Plus, my demonically charming smile makes them even more certain there's definitely a trick. But just then, to prove the truth, the little girl's father directly swallows a potato whole. Then, after a brief moment, he suddenly shouts tearfully, "Long live Lord Demon King!" After they confirm there's really no danger, the others begin wolfing down the potatoes. Seeing this scene, the little girl's father looks at the Demon King with awe. Lord Demon King actually gave us edible food. Then, the farming team shouts "Long live Credos," but hearing this, I have a strange feeling. It's like advertisements for selling some kind of medicine. This must be changed. The assistant officer beside me, watching my calm expression, thinks I can create food in barren land yet looks so matter-of-fact. Perhaps I really can prevent the tragedy brought by famine. Just then, the system reward also arrives. Your demon army feels happiness from enjoying delicious food. Happiness points +50. This is a proper reward. I can finally strengthen this physical body, but I can't determine which item to choose for now. so I finally decide to store these points first. But just as I'm thinking about the next plan, the assistant officer beside me suddenly seriously states, "Farmers, listen well. After work, go home and properly spread this news. Tell them there's also edible food in this land. For demons who can dig up wild potatoes, I'll issue food vouchers based on the quantity they dig and promise they can be exchanged for edible food." This series of statements makes even the Demon King beside him feel ashamed, just as smart as his handsome appearance. So in the following period, every demon diligently works at their assigned labor. Village demons diligently dig potatoes. One side produces immediately edible potatoes, while the other side diligently makes fertilizer. Of course, as the Demon King, I won't be idle in this atmosphere. Move that guy's position slightly more to the left, because I need to work hard making the most important nitrogen. Since fertilizer is now abundant, it's time for the next stage. I need to mix the fertilizer evenly into the entire land. But this land is really too vast. If I rely solely on the farming team to spread compost, won't they be exhausted to death? I really need to find external help. A moment later, I return to the Great Hall and order letters requesting aid to be sent to various city lords. Hearing this, the assistant officer says he's already sent out the aid requests, requiring them to temporarily halt expeditions and fully support farming, but so far there's been no response. Could it be that the messengers starved to death on the road? This way, the farming plan can't continue well. Meanwhile, at the Demon Realm's first district, King's Cliff, Picamil is reporting to the first city lord, Abisator the Undead Father. According to Scout's observations, Demon King Kratos is engaging in farming, and has even created edible things. Hearing this, the Undead Father arrogantly says, "That guy is indeed afraid of my power. As more and more demon undead die, my power will become stronger and stronger. That guy stopping war and starting agriculture is just a means to limit me. I still don't know that the messenger I sent out has been intercepted and dealt with by this guy, which is why other lords know nothing about the ceasefire and farming. Currently, his desired result is for demons to starve to death from famine, and then become his army, after which he'll replace me as the new Demon King." Then he orders again, having Picamil lead a team to destroy all my agricultural achievements. The scene shifts. After Picamil arrives at the demon territory, he discovers the sun-baked Aseroth. That's truly vicious Kratos. After muttering a few words, he orders the imps, "Turn this wasteland completely into waste soil." At this moment, an imp discovers the core of farming that Scouts mentioned before, compost. Hearing this, Picamil only feels this is divine will. He has everyone scatter all the compost into the ground. Even more cruelly, to prevent us from recovering it, he mixes it evenly into the deep soil. Aseroth, tied to a wooden stake nearby, remembers that I previously told the assistant officer we must mix compost into the soil for deep cultivation, but the farming team alone could never complete this. The completely oblivious Picamil even excitedly shouts, "You're doomed, Kratos!" Witnessing the entire process, Aseroth, seeing this scene, is simply speechless. What the hell do these idiots want to do? Soon after, the exhausted imps are complaining about this broken land being turned over and over endlessly. But just a moment of distraction gets them caught by other imps. "You bastard, don't think about slacking off. As long as there's still one small piece of intact land, Demon King Kratos will reuse it." Another imp nearby, looking at the land he's turned over, actually feels a sense of accomplishment. They work tirelessly turning the soil, completely unaware that the sun has quietly risen, so much so that even when being burned, they still console themselves. Because it's meaningful work, this result is also good. They even have happy smiles on their faces. In contrast, Picamil, watching his subordinates disappear one by one, can't help but shed tears. "My lovely little guys, you are the best." Meanwhile, I'm in the potato storage warehouse. Although I regret not being able to till the fields in time, this will also take quite a while. Currently, the potatoes are in dormant state. In this land, they cannot sprout, so planting them would be useless. It's like someone suddenly yanking sleeping potatoes from the ground. This directly scared the potatoes unconscious, causing their biological rhythm to stop. According to current conditions, after storing for 2 to 3 weeks, they need to be moved to a warm, dark place. Although I want Circe to inject cold air, that attitude definitely suggests she's still throwing a tantrum. Hartok nearby also looks like he's ready to explode at any moment. If pushed too hard and they team up, this isn't the result I want. To satisfy the warehouse's constant temperature, I've also tried using farm workers, but it still doesn't achieve the desired effect. Thinking it through, what I can do now is inject nitrogen into the fields. Come on, let's go look at the fields. But when we arrive at the fields, we're amazed to discover the soil has not only been evenly tilled, but also filled with the smell of fertilizer. Seeing this scene, I marvel. This is simply a miracle. At this moment, Picamil, hiding nearby, seeing my expression, thinks his plan to destroy the fields was a great success. But the next second, Bahal suddenly appears behind him. "Lord Demon King, this guy was sneaking around behind the tree." Hearing this, I turn around to find Bahal is holding an undead. And this guy is also a small leader among the undead, Picamil. Immediately after, I step forward and deliver a hard slap. Seeing this, the assistant officer looks puzzled about why I would attack, before even questioning. But the answer is obvious. This guy's expression shows he wants to hide something. So when you can use your fists, never waste time with words. The guy who got beaten out of shape still wants to act tough. But before he can finish speaking, I follow up with a series of combo punches, and soon I am exhausted. At this point, the system, unable to watch any longer, reminds me to exchange points for stamina. So with my renewed vitality, I continue practicing my combo punches. Even though this guy already wants to confess honestly, I still show no intention of stopping. Just like this, while getting beaten, he reveals the reason. Avisitor ordered us to destroy the farmland and starve everyone to death. This confirms why the messages we sent out never received replies. It was these guys causing trouble in between. The assistant officer states, "This is blatant rebellion. But as long as we can suppress this undead force, we can not only establish authority, but also warn other lords. Even without this reason, if we let it go unchecked, that guy will continue to interfere with our plans, so we should completely block these pests." At this point, the assistant officer asks how we can catch him. I think to myself that this guy can shapeshift like a ghost, and in the game he teleports all over the map, making every level a game of hide and seek. Since we cannot actively apprehend him, we need to find a way to lure him out. Meanwhile, the cute little demon girl holds her small shovel, staring blankly at the bound Asurath. "Little one, haven't you seen a handsome guy before?" Hearing this, the little demon girl scratches her head, then politely salutes. "Thank you for sacrificing so much for us. Thank you for making food production possible." This really infuriates Asurath, who even uses his remaining strength to roar, "You dare mock me, believe it or not, I will swallow you." Seeing this, the little demon girl gets scared and runs away. "Kratos, the moment I break free, I will definitely kill you." But the next second, he gets attracted by the sound of gongs and drums. When he sees clearly, he discovers the newcomer is actually the bound Pickamil, with a banner that reads Lightning Rod. But looking more closely, seeing the words second generation in an instant, he thinks tearfully, this way, wouldn't he not have to get struck by lightning from dawn to dusk? Next, I plant Pickamil beside Asurath, even thoughtfully putting up an umbrella for him to prevent this guy from getting sunburned to ascension. The next second, I use Rending Backhand on both of them. Only now does Asurath realize, damn it, they just became two lightning rods. The timeline returns to the demon territory. At this moment, I am facing the two on the stakes, excitedly collecting nitrogen. But this terrifying scene is clearly witnessed by Avisitor at the distant undead cliff. "Kratos, you are such a bastard, my poor Pickamil. You must hurt." At this moment, I have already discovered the reconnaissance imp behind me in the tree. It seems he has been witnessing all of this. "Since that is the case, old man, you dare to destroy my agricultural grand plan, I will make you regret it to your bones." Soon after, the cute little demon girl holds her small shovel, diligently tilling the soil. Seeing this, Asurath asks curiously, "What are you doing?" Hearing this, the little demon girl responds, "The Demon King and the 4 great demon generals are all desperately working for farming, so I want to help do something too." But Asurath mocks, "You inferior demon, you are just stupid. This guy next to me has already finished tilling the land. If you want to help, do something useful." Hearing this, the cute little demon girl quickly stands up respectfully and thanks the barely alive Pickamil. "You even help us till the land." Seeing such a cute little girl express gratitude to him, Pickamil is deeply moved. But Asurath on the side continues with cold sarcasm, farming on this wasteland. "Do you think it is possible? You will all starve to death anyway." However, the little demon girl does not listen at all. Instead, happily turns around and walks away, watching the little girl's retreating figure. For the first time, Asurath feels regret in his heart. The scene shifts. In the Demon King's hall, the assistant officer and I are discussing countermeasures against the undead, but the assistant officer questions my custom tactics. Avisitor clearly knows it is a trap. Will he really come to save Pickamil? I can confidently assert he would never dare come personally. He will only send some small soldiers. To make that guy come out himself, we need to eliminate all the attacking soldiers. Just like this, under my command, the demon generals are fully armed and waiting for enemy attack. But Avisitor, watching the scene through the reconnaissance imp, sneers continuously, even mocking these foolish demons. With such a formation, how would I send out soldiers? Too bad, Kratos. I have only one purpose, and that is to destroy your farmland. Because he has already sent soul eaters to secretly attack the warehouse. As long as all the potatoes are destroyed, everything will be over. Little does he know, I have already seen through all of this. Welcome, little ones, to your graves. The first time encountering these imps during the game really made me feel despair. Avisitor's second elite core. These imps not only like to swarm in groups, but once touched, they will stick tightly, and they are detestable monsters that rapidly age players. However, after many attempts, I found a way to overcome them. That is to use lightning attribute skills. But the imps who discover it is a trap, turn around and quickly retreat without looking back. But they suddenly discover that the doors and walls are all covered with my blood. This is a big gift I prepared in advance. Then I use the Rending Backhand. It is the upgraded version. The electricity spreads through the blood and instantly fills the entire warehouse. The imp core immediately suffers heavy damage. At this moment, I suddenly shout, "Agricultural team, enter." Physical attacks are now effective. The next second, agricultural teams from all directions launch fierce attacks on the imps. Do not underestimate these guys because of their appearance. Remember, they are all elite monsters from the final map. Looking at the one-sided situation before me, I wonder if I was too ruthless. Both cold-blooded and smart, maybe I was born to be a demon king. Next, these fish that escaped the net. It is my turn to personally take the stage. But the next second, what I never expected. The little demon actually pokes her head out from the potato pile, and she is being targeted by an imp. Seeing this, the little demon girl's father immediately panics. At this moment, although I think to myself that losing one imp does not matter, My body moves uncontrollably to attack that guy. But this distance exceeds the range of rending backhand. So in desperation, I grab a potato and throw it at this guy. Although I also think this action is absurd. The next second, something happens that I completely did not expect. After the potato hits the imp, it actually absorbs him completely. Then looking carefully, well, I'll be damned, the sleeping potato actually sprouted. Only now do I realize. The aging imps are actually the key to activating the potato's biological clock. Then I pick up the little demon girl buried in the potatoes, and gently say, "You did very well, little cutie." But seeing my expression, this girl almost faints from fright. Then I stand on the potato pile and order the agricultural team stop the plan to lure Abbas Sator, because next it is our turn to visit his home. At the same moment, the sun-baked Asaroth has been starved to the point of questioning life. This gives him a new understanding of life, realizing he still has a desire to live. Just then, the cute little demon girl comes to the scene, holding a basin of potatoes in her hands. Although the little demon girl's words are full of gratitude, Asaroth's eyes only see those dry potatoes. Starved to the limit, he has almost turned into a zombie. Seeing this, the cute little demon girl casually picks up a potato from the basin. "You look very hungry. Let me feed you." Then she closes her eyes and throws with force. Unexpectedly, the potato hits Asaroth's left eye. This makes him instantly go mad, and the little demon girl says, "This time I can definitely hit the target. Let me try again." Then she throws 3 more potatoes. Fortunately, one successfully feeds Asaroth's mouth, but the other 2 happen to hit both eyes. Even the violent Asaroth closes his foul mouth the moment he eats the potato. Because some members of the Demon King's army feel happiness points increase by 1. Current reserve points, 302%. This makes me a bit confused. It is not yet mealtime. Could it be that some guy secretly ate potatoes? But since you increased my points, I will spare you this once. Then I cast aside distractions and shout toward Undead Cliff with raised arms. "Agricultural team, attack!" At this time, seeing our attack, the soldiers on the other side of the bridge actually cut down the bridge. They think this can stop my advance. The next second, I directly make an original frog leap. But before reaching the destination, I suddenly fall. This scene makes these imps burst into laughter, but this laughter suddenly becomes strange, because they see my naked body stuck in the wall. Next, I crawl toward them like a ghost. The speed is simply beyond imagination. Moments later, I stand at the cave entrance in a victorious posture. Then I slowly turn my head, signaling them to proceed according to plan, while I head alone toward the undead lair. But seeing me without the cursed potatoes, Abbas Sator thinks he has won for sure. Then he sends ghouls to attack me. But the next second, my actions once again make their jaws drop. I see that the moment I am about to collide with the imps, I dodge in an instant and drill into the wall. Then it is naked, and equipped. Finally, I actually climb to the top of the wall. This scene directly confuses all the imps. They have never seen such a demonic movement method. And after crawling like this for a while, I lead all the monsters in the cave to one place. Seeing me panting, the imps think I cannot hold on anymore. So they swarm up. But I just confidently say, I am not the Demon King now, I am a veteran player. At the same time, according to plan, the assistant officer shouts loudly, and the next second, the agricultural team members pick up potatoes and start throwing wildly. At this moment, my surroundings are full of sprouting potatoes. Seeing this scene, the assistant officer is still half doubtful about my original plan. But the fact is my strategy hits the mark precisely once again. At this moment, I think about how in the game, there was a tunnel below the cave entrance. Out of curiosity, I smashed the wall and discovered. Inside was actually a hidden treasure chest, which was a spear of medicine that could transform players, a fruit that condensed the 1,000-year obsession of ancient giants. Users can briefly change form, or this is the materialization of obsession. If I find it later, I must take it. At this time, the agricultural teams are extremely excited about the potato sprouting and crying tears of joy. This reminds me of my deceased grandmother. This makes me, usually abstract, also briefly lose focus. Then casting aside distractions, I say viciously, "Anyone who dares to interfere with my eating, I will twist their neck." At this time, Bahal steps forward. "Demon King, Abbas Sator is very powerful. I also want to help you." However, hearing this, I command him just transport potatoes, because fighting is something the boss should do. At this time, Abbas Sator still wants to use Ice Soul Heart to summon more undead. But before he can finish his curse, I deliver a deadly chain kick. The kicked and confused Abbas Sator still does not forget to ask how I found this place. I just sneer coldly, "Cut the nonsense. From this moment it is time to eliminate pests." Despite this, he is quite surprised that I can find this place. But seeing no support behind me, he again shows arrogance and even claims to show me his true power. Little does he know I am all too familiar with his trump cards. During the game, to hunt down this teleporting guy, I searched the entire cave. During this period, I encountered countless imps, and finally almost annihilated all those guys on the cliff. Then I followed this guy to the field where Ice Soul Heart is located. According to the game records, Ice Soul Heart is an awe-inspiring artifact created by ancient dragons at the cost of their lives. It can trap dead souls in reality with freezing soul-cold air. This guy tried to use that power to gather more subordinates. But before that, the game character would arrive and the final battle would begin. Among these, this guy's most skilled method is the visible transformation technique, as this guy's soul continues to twist. The next second, he directly transforms into my appearance, and even thinks I am the previous Demon King. So he directly copies my attributes and materializes them. But what he never expected is that my current attributes are not even as good as a small soldier. At this time, Abyssator fiercely attacks me. Seeing this, I directly use happiness points from inventory to boost agility attribute to 30%. Then I just slightly dodge to avoid his attack, and fiercely counterattack his abdomen with violent force. The unconvinced guy still wants to give me another punch, but he does not know I have already secretly boosted strength to 30%. I directly meet his fist. The result is predictable. The guy in pain jumps around uncontrollably, and even doubts whether his skills malfunctioned. At this time, I just say contemptuously, "Old man, farming also requires brains." Abyssator, who has never been so looked down upon, tries to make a final struggle. How could he know I continue to boost other attributes as well? Then I just use the most basic rending backhand, and burn this wretch on the spot, even turning him directly into a puddle of mud. At this time, the system suddenly pops up that a growth mission is completed. All attributes increase by 1 level as a reward, unlocking new skill, Summon Farmer's Throne. Farmer King's Throne. It comes equipped with various sturdy farming tools. This reward comes at just the right time. I was just short of many tools. At this time, Abyssator, who turned into a lump, suddenly starts twisting frantically, then transforms into the form of an ancient dragon. Little guy, do not get too cocky too early. The ancient evil dragon is my true form. Seeing this, I just say disdainfully, seeing it with my own eyes is quite shocking, and this attack power and health bar are really no joke. But before I finish speaking, our allies also happen to arrive at the scene. Then I ask Abyssator with an evil smile, "What do you say now?" Seeing this, Abyssator instantly changes from an arrogant attitude to a cowardly bear. "Well, how about we talk civilly?" But our agricultural team does not buy his act and directly shout, "You dare interfere with our farming, old man, you must die." Then they display the super high combat power of elite monsters and pin Abyssator to the ground for a fierce beating. Seeing this scene, I think the old guy can still move and talk. Killing him personally feels weird. And now everyone should be hungry and have no strength. How come they have been beating him for so long without finishing him off? So for greater efficiency, I directly summon the new skill Farmer's Throne. A holy light suddenly shines from the sky. In the holy light, a throne full of farming tools slowly descends. The next second, it fiercely falls toward Abyssator. In just an instant, it smashes him to ash. Seeing this, the agricultural teams excitedly shout, "Worthy of being the Demon King." Simply brutal to the extreme, showing no mercy even to the dying. Truly a good example for small fry like us. In their excitement, they also hope I can enjoy this with them. Really, why do these guys suddenly seem so cute? At the same time, far away in the demon territory, Pickamil suddenly feels heat in the back of his head. Then, in complete confusion, he actually ascends on the spot. At this moment, the farmland has been tilled. The sprouting potatoes are also ready. Even the pests threatening farming have been eliminated. So next comes the moment to plant potatoes. Just as I plan to leave, the ice soul heart behind me suddenly makes strange noises. At the same time, the system pops up a prompt, having killed Abyssator 20 times in Undead Cliff. As a reward for this hidden event, the ancient dragon sealed in Ice Soul Heart is about to awaken. Then out of curiosity, I slowly walk toward Ice Soul Heart. Unexpectedly, the next second it opens by itself. Then a cute dragon cub pokes its head out. This is a creature never seen during the game. In contrast, the first thing the little dragon sees after birth is recognizing me as his father. At this time, I hold the little guy and examine him carefully, excitedly thinking this little creature is extremely cute. But seeing my gentle smile, he cannot help but doubt whether he is biological. Seeing the little guy, the agricultural team all cheer, "Let's do it," while I angrily scold them, "You fools, at least fatten it up before eating it." Hearing this, the little guy immediately tears up, having finally escaped those as dark dragons, but he never expected his biological father would actually want to slaughter him. Moments later, when we return to the demon territory, the demons have already been waiting here for our triumphant return. These heartwarming scenes make the little cutie feel they are not so scary, but when he looks up at me, seeing my gentle expression, he immediately retracts his previous thought. After returning to Demon Castle, I wonder what to feed the little guy. It is said young dragons need to eat refined gems, but where can we find those premium mineral sources in this broken place? The little cutie looks at my expression. He has been huddled in the corner, and he is trembling. Dad must be waiting for me to grow up. Fortunately, at this time, the assistant officer comes to report. Just as you predicted, we encountered difficulties in the piling process. This is within my expectations. To plant crops, soil must be piled up at the boundaries of rice fields or dry fields or between sorghum to form raised mounds. However, to achieve this, obviously soil alone is sufficient. But there are too many stones in this land, causing the agricultural team to clear them day and night, which is still far from enough. To the little cutie, the scene looks like enslaving slaves, making him lament his pitiful dragon life. In contrast, seeing this scene, I just think this is not farming but mining. If we mobilize all demons every day, the potatoes prepared for them will also be consumed quickly. Even if other city lords send support, it cannot completely change this situation. Just like this, while poking the little cutie, I worry about how great it would be if I could summon someone with magic like manga protagonists to clear these stones at once. I see the little demon girl behind me, obviously just a tiny kid, but she works so hard to help. This quickly calms me down. After all, complaining is useless. I need to think of a solution to solve this quickly. However, just at this time, someone suddenly shouts, "Blade Wind is coming." I, who has been focused on farming, actually forgot about this. In this wasteland, this kind of blade wind generates randomly. If accidentally caught in it, you will be cut to pieces in an instant. So I immediately tell everyone to quickly hide in safe places, like behind stones. Damn it, even from this distance I can feel such wind pressure. And this kind of natural disaster is the greatest threat to farming. But just at this time, the little demon girl actually runs desperately in the opposite direction. Turns out this girl is trying to save the bound Asaroth. Seeing this, I quickly hand the dragon cub to the little demon girl's father, and command them, anyone who dares to follow, I will kill him. Bahal desperately shouts, trying to stop me, but I am already running desperately toward the little demon girl. Although I know the danger, I cannot let my people die like this. Moreover, farming is not some leisurely wellness activity. At this time, the little demon girl has already reached the scene and is struggling to pull out the stake. Seeing this, Asaroth tells her to run quickly, but the little demon girl does not listen. Fortunately, I arrive in time and directly kick the stake to break it with a flying kick. Under the influence of gravity, Asaroth falls face first straight to the ground. Although the aftermath of the blade wind has already caused the little demon girl's skin to crack, she still desperately tries to save Asaroth. At this time, Asaroth roars angrily, "Get lost! This is binding rope that even the 4 great demon generals cannot untie." At this time, I directly pick up the little demon girl around the waist, then carry Asaroth on my shoulder. With all my strength, I run desperately toward the safe zone. Seeing this scene, the little cutie thinks that father is clearly not strong, yet still desperately goes to save people. Although he looks scary, he is still a gentle existence. At the same time, I suffer severe injuries from being scraped by the blade wind. Even in the next second, I can only hold the little demon girl and collapse powerlessly. But just at this time, the little cutie directly breaks free from restraint and flies rapidly toward me, and toward the swirling blade wind. He takes a deep breath, then shoots out fierce cold air. At this moment, I can feel the blade wind's power obviously weakening. Could it be that the cold air weakened the rising air current? But such a scale of cold air is definitely too much for a young dragon. However, while thinking about these things, my consciousness has already hazily fainted. If I could wake up at this moment, I would definitely be shocked by the current scene, because these generals actually disobeyed my orders and charged into the blade wind to bring us back to the safe zone. I am now unconscious in my room, but the Dark Knight actually brings 2 uninvited guests, Circe and Hartok. These 2 actually want to take the opportunity to kill me, but the moment they attack me, they suddenly stop, because they see I am actually sleeping with wide eyes and a fierce expression. At this moment, they are already somewhat timid, but thinking this might be the only chance to strike, they still steel themselves and make up their minds. But just at this time, a voice behind them interrupts. "What are you doing?" It turns out to be Asaroth and Bahal. "Anyone who dares disturb the Demon King's rest, I will not show mercy." Hearing this, the 2 are immediately speechless, looking at this fierce appearance. What kind of rest is this? Then Hartok curiously asks Asaroth. "That single-minded Bahal is one thing, but why are even you standing beside this farming maniac?" Asaroth responds that he is just returning a favor, and maybe next time he will stand with them. Hearing this, Hartok is immediately speechless. "Has your brain been kicked by a donkey? Now growing potatoes is causing endless trouble. If we fail, everyone will starve to death." At this time, Asaroth thinks about, despite having only a glimmer of hope, the little demon girl who works hard farming, and says, "If you do not want to starve to death, you must risk your life to fight." If I have to risk my life anyway, I would rather choose to fight to the end. You fools will definitely regret this. After leaving these words, the 2 turn around and leave without looking back. It happens that at this time I wake up from unconsciousness, but I did not expect Asaroth to be here too. He just says disdainfully that he is just returning a favor. But the next second, I deliver a soul-searching question, which lightning rod runs around everywhere. Hearing this, Asaroth is immediately stunned. Then the entire castle emits mysterious firelight and screams. The scene shifts, and Bahal is seen carrying the unconscious Asaroth to the farmland. At this time I am anxious. We must quickly clear the stones from the soil. But what I never expected is that during my unconsciousness, the assistant officer led everyone to take care of everything for me. At this time, I ask how they cleared so many stones, and he tells me to look toward the field. I look in the direction he points. Well, I'll be damned. Turns out the little cutie actually ate all the stones. At this moment, the little cutie thinks that because he is too small, he could not stop the blade wind. Only by not being picky and eating voraciously can he grow up quickly. At this time, the little guy hears his father's call and sees it as me. He directly buries his head in my embrace. At this time, I think the blade wind will not come often, and it will take time for its scale to grow. Besides, this little guy can monitor from the air, and once blade wind is discovered, it can be dispersed through cold air. Although it is troublesome, we do not have weather forecasts, so we can only do this. Now everything is ready, only the formal potato planting remains. In farming, the first enemy is natural disasters, followed by financial pressure. These are all difficulties that must be overcome. At the same time, elsewhere in Demon Castle, Circe sits at her dressing table slowly removing her helmet. If I were present, I would definitely be surprised that during the game, this girl's true appearance could not be seen. Who would have thought she is actually a hidden beauty? However, at this moment, she is extremely annoyed, her whole body emitting a foul atmosphere. Although she has been hiding in her room for several days without working, she still cannot dispel this manure smell. At this time, my voice comes from outside the door. Hearing this, she is initially curious why I would come here, but then immediately says she has nothing good to discuss with me. However, I persist. Only by meeting face to face can we communicate properly. But when she angrily plans to refuse me, she suddenly sees me stuck in the door in a bizarre form, and this action immediately makes her extremely ashamed. You are insane. How can you trespass into a lady's room? How could she know that the next second I actually kneel on one knee? Seeing this, Circe is somewhat confused. However, my next words immediately make her blush. Circe, without you I can do nothing. Little does she know my actions are just to save labor costs, because I currently need her sharp and precise blade. In contrast, being told this by me, the entire room immediately fills with a wonderful pink atmosphere. The scene shifts, and I bring Circe to the warehouse storing sprouted potatoes, and say, planting potatoes requires cutting them in half first, so please help me cut potatoes. But this sentence makes Circe instantly furious. You bastard demon king, you dare to fool me. But I do not care and pick up a potato to tell her. The word process is actually very simple. Do not cut those with 3 or fewer sprouts. Cut those with 4 or more, paying attention to even distribution of sprouts on left and right. Then while she is still in a daze, I directly pick up the potato. Seeing this scene, Circe angrily says she never agreed to help, but I directly throw the potato into the air. But Circe, who says she will not help, instantly transforms into a battle maniac and directly cuts the potato clean. Seeing this exquisite knife work, I cannot help but show a surprised expression. This technique, this strength, simply too perfect. Indeed, I cannot do anything without you. This makes the little girl blush again. But then she angrily says, you think saying a few nice words can coax me, you big liar, scoundrel, smooth talker. But the next second, I quickly transform into a demon. Then I grab her small hand and take out a cloth to wipe the sword clean. Seeing this scene, the little beauty is again at a loss. At this time, I say somewhat affectionately, the potato got muddy. Of course it needs to be wiped clean. In contrast, Circe's heart is beating wildly. Crazy, crazy. What is this charming look in his eyes? So sincere, deep and subtle. Why does my heart suddenly become so chaotic? In contrast, I just think that shiny clean feels comfortable. If not wiped clean, it will bring infectious diseases to the potatoes. Then I ask Circe, can I ask you one more favor? I really need you. Looking at my deep and sincere eyes, her heart that had already melted long ago now has no trace of previous arrogance. Then, I will help you this once. After all, this stupid great demon king can do nothing without me. Hearing this, I excitedly say, that's fantastic, I'll get water and gauze. Tonight we'll work through the night cutting potatoes. Little does she know that at this moment, Hartok is watching this scene. He sees Circe shyly cutting potatoes while I sing and wipe the blade. At this time, Hartok just thinks Circe is also a self-degrading fool who voluntarily becomes a slave because of a few compliments. The scene shifts to Aseroth being sun-baked on the stake. He is pondering what life is, what a lightning rod is, and even angry at his powerful recovery ability. But just at this time, the little demon girl appears in his vision with a basin of potatoes. Steak, uncle, let's play the potato throwing game. Hearing this, Aseroth says he will not play games with inferior demons, but his mouth honestly opens. Hartok, seeing all this on the side, just thinks this bastard is completely hopeless. So stupid as to be played around, now completely a waste. Just at this time, I bring the cut potatoes for everyone to start sowing. Learning that Circe helps cut the potatoes, the agricultural team members all express gratitude to her. At this moment, seeing Circe too shy to know what to do, Hartok secretly complains that a dignified one of the 4 great demon generals is in such a state, just growing potatoes, and these guys can be moved to tears. As powerful demons, do they not feel ashamed? So Hartok again secretly decides he must usurp this demon king position. At this time, I tell everyone, when the potatoes sprout and break ground, at that time we need to pick sprouts. Leave 3 to 5 sprouts for each potato. Then I ask, are more sprouts better or fewer better? The agricultural team members each express their opinions. I directly respond, the fewer sprouts the better. However, hearing this, everyone is somewhat confused. In their understanding, is not more always better for everything? But Hartok, who has been listening clearly from behind, can no longer bear it. You fools. If there are too many sprouts, they will compete for root nutrition, causing potato growth to be hindered. This surprises me somewhat. Do you know farming knowledge? But he disdainfully says, this kind of common sense still needs to be learned. New sprouts and potato root systems are originally connected. Sharing nutrients is natural, is it not? Hearing this, I continue asking, then how many sprouts should we keep? Of course too, do you even need to ask? If you're just trying to save nutrients and prune, it's easy to miscalculate, and if you leave just one and accidentally break the main stem, you could kill the whole potato plant. I didn't realize this guy knew so much. So I asked again, what do you think we should do next besides picking buds? To this question he also did not pause. At present it is artificially improved, perfect soil. This fertile soil will certainly also grow all kinds of weeds. So in addition to picking the buds, but also regular weeding, it made everyone, including me, freeze in their tracks. The next second I led the crowd straight into applause. Hooray for the agricultural genius Hartok, amidst the continuous cheers of genius acclaim. Hartok suddenly remembers his mother, who always called him foolish. The stark contrast of the current scene brings tears streaming down his face. At this moment, I slowly approach and firmly announce, Hartok will serve as chief instructor of the agricultural team. But right now, he only thinks about usurping the throne. Yet the next second, I suddenly shout loudly, what are you all standing around for? Pay tribute to the most outstanding elite of the demon race. This causes Hartok to instantly surrender, expressing his intent to follow me closely from now on. Upon hearing this, everyone cheers once again. Meanwhile, I suddenly receive a system notification. You have won 4 psychological battles. You have gained insight into Bahal's trauma psychology from lacking protection in childhood, successfully taming him into a loyal subordinate. You have established social relationships for the lonely Azarath, significantly reducing his violent tendencies. You have also melted the frozen heart of Circe, who has never been loved. You have satisfied Hartok's vain desire for recognition. Now consuming 200 points can unlock the new skill Blood Eye, which allows observation of confirmed events within the next 6 hours for any target individual, whether living beings or inanimate objects. Seeing this, I am somewhat bewildered, as this skill does not exist in the game at all. But the next second, the system's prompt makes me widen my eyes in shock. This target even includes the sky. Damn it, this is basically a weather forecast system. The scene shifts. Pink Loveheart, with maxed out combat power, walks through the forest with a confused expression after losing his guide's direction. Who would have thought that in this wild mountain forest, someone would be calling for help? Through the voice, he discovers they are 2 humans. It turns out these 2 are reconnaissance soldiers investigating the demon race. Yet such beings were actually ambushed by goblins, nearly losing their lives. Perhaps this flashy appearance is too distinctive. Despite his good intentions to help, he merely extends his hand in a friendly manner, but this frightens them considerably. Fortunately, Pink Loveheart harbors no malice, and the misunderstanding is quickly resolved. Time passes for several weeks. In the exiles' village between demon territory and human lands, the 2 finally recover from their injuries. After several days of communication, Pink Loveheart learns that they are actually of noble birth, specifically sent by the king, though one is a young master, while the other is a follower. Yet when Master Albia invites him to journey together to the human kingdom, Pink Loveheart hesitates. As mentioned before, he cannot even remember who he is. Moreover, when he first arrived at this village, the villagers' gazes toward him were not friendly. Therefore, he unconsciously becomes dejected, wondering if someone like him could truly be accepted by humans. Little does he know that as soon as his words end, these 2 display adorably naive expressions. Why don't you try changing your outfit? Moments later, as they formally leave the grass hut, Pink Loveheart merely wears a cloak. In the young master's view, he particularly treasures this flashy outfit. Little does he know that Pink Loveheart has long wanted to remove these clothes. Only they seem to have fused with his body, and he cannot take them off no matter how hard he tries. Looking at these 2 kind and courteous individuals, he once again wonders what kind of existence he truly is, because in his vague memories, there is only endless slaughter. The scene shifts. The demons of the agricultural team stare in disbelief at what lies before them. In this barren soil, they have actually cultivated potatoes. This scene also leaves Bahal and Circe speechless with amazement. In such a joyous moment, Asaroth naturally cannot be absent. At this time, I loudly gather everyone. Agricultural team, listen to orders. Execute the next phase immediately, earthing up. Then I direct my gaze toward Hartok. Our genius chief instructor, what is earthing up? Once again receiving attention, Hartok's nose tingles, and he immediately bursts forth with an ocean of knowledge. Earthing up refers to an agricultural technique of lightly covering seedling stems with soil. This prevents mature potatoes from being exposed to sunlight. If exposed to direct sunlight, potatoes will change color, taste worse, and may even produce toxins. This can be understood as a kind of potato corruption phenomenon. The moment his words end, I again lead the applause. Then I directly widen my eyes, staring straight at the sky. This is my new skill unlocked after consuming 200 points, Blood Eye. Only this damn thing. The activation condition for this skill is continuously staring at the target for 200 seconds without blinking. This is incredibly difficult, but in everyone's view this appears as me being so excited that tears well up in my eyes. Through this abstract design, I finally learn. The forecast for the next 6 hours predicts clear and dry weather. It is recommended to use a humidifier. Very good. It seems there will be no fierce winds. Little cutie, eat more stones. You can rest well today. But at this moment, the assistant officer suddenly reports with a serious expression that there is urgent intelligence. The messenger is unmistakably a subordinate of Second Lord Plumes. After they receive orders to halt the expedition, Third Lord Rast launches a full-scale attack against them. The rallying cry of rebellion is the same as the 4 demon generals. Since the demon king has grown weak, I shall become the demon king myself. As the assistant officer states, if Rast forces Plumes to submit and form an alliance, our side will likely be unable to resist. This aligns with my thoughts. Although those guys have lower levels, they have many troops. In other words, before the Second Lord completely submits, we must swiftly attack and defeat the Third Lord. But I cannot abandon the field work for too long. The Second Lord's territory under attack is located in the Abyssal Decay Swamp beneath King's Cliff. Comparing the game setting with reality, the map size is approximately 10 times larger than reality, making the distance extremely far. The abandoned well in the game, responsible for leveling and teleportation, can be used for rapid round trips. While considering how to solve this problem, I suddenly have a flash of inspiration. Damn it, I am the ultimate boss here. How could I personally lead an expedition? So the ones leading the expedition are Circe and Bahal. I first dispatch these 2 loyal 4 demon generals, along with other demons whose low intelligence makes them unsuitable for farming. While Hartok and I focus entirely on potato cultivation here, the scene shifts. The second territory is now littered with corpses. Plume still cannot believe that Rast dares to defy the Demon King's orders, even daring to stage a rebellion. But in Rast's view, halting the expedition is what will lead to the demon race's destruction. Although Plumes desperately explains that the Demon King can make the land fertile, and filling stomachs does not require war with humans. Upon hearing this, Rast still raises his cold blade. Because filling stomachs is not the goal. Heroic battle is the history and pride that the demon race has always maintained. But at this critical moment, a swift axe directly strikes the blade away. The newcomer is unmistakably one of the 4 demon generals. He seems to have heard Rast's statement. In his view, this guy is not entirely wrong. The demon race is indeed warlike, and enjoys slaughter. But from some point onward, why did we become that way? Perhaps we can also understand this reason. Compared to killing someone, saving someone makes him feel more proud. The scene shifts to the happy and blissful little demon girl. This is the first feast welcomed through the efforts of all demons. The sprouted potatoes have begun to bloom, yet facing the innocent expression. I say words that drop their jaws. From this moment on, pluck all these useless flowers for me. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately shows sad emotions, while Azarath behind me curses that I am a heartless and cruel demon king. Because these flowers are the only spiritual support that has sustained him until now. Seeing such a scene without any mercy, truly worthy of being the demon king. Although Hartok says this with his mouth, he still commands everyone to act immediately. These simple-hearted demons, looking at these pitiful petals, simply cannot bring themselves to act. These are flowers we planted with our own hands, and the first time such beautiful flowers have bloomed on this land. Fortunately, the planting genius explains the reason for removing the flowers. If this continues, all the nutrients accumulated through photosynthesis will be consumed entirely by the flowers in seed formation. So they can only endure their sadness and send all these lovely petals to their demise. But their pained voices sound to me like the beautiful melody of potato growth. The scene shifts. Circe and Bahal capture Rast and bring him to the demon castle. Seeing his wretched state, I cannot help but mock him. Knowing such results would occur, why did you stage a rebellion? You could not even defeat a 1-star city lord, so what could you possibly accomplish? However, upon hearing this, Rast shows no fear whatsoever. You might as well kill me. A demon race stripped of battle glory is no different from being dead. This guy still dares to talk back at this point, so I directly cast Rending Backhand, giving him a round of skin-burning treatment first. But this thick-skinned fellow actually withstands my damage, even having the leisure to mock that I am merely tickling him. Only then do I remember that in the game, this guy is a character focused on defensive power. If that is the case, then I can promote him to our 3rd-generation Lightning Rod. This can only be blamed on his formidable defensive capabilities. Next, I demand that the demons untie the original Lightning Rod, because this little guy's recovery has been declining severely lately, and he should retire and rest. But Azarath, who was just rescued, sees the little demon girl running toward him excitedly. The previous second he was still barely breathing. The next second he reveals his demonic nature. You inferior demon, you've been toying with me quite enough during this time. Before dealing with Kratos, I will start with you. As his words end, he transforms into a vengeful demon. But before he can truly exert his power, he stumbles backward and falls flat on his face. Damn it, he has been hanging for too long and forgot the feeling of stepping on ground. At this moment, Bahal slowly approaches. Then, while he is still confused, directly gives him a princess carry, subsequently securing him firmly to his back. This is the Demon King's command, requiring this posture to be maintained for a period of time. Upon hearing this, Azarath feels once again subjected to tremendous humiliation. Then I breathe a sigh of relief. Although I was concerned this little guy might go insane, through Blood Eye, I learned that this fellow cannot move for the next 6 hours, which is why I decided to help him untie. Next, I again command everyone to accelerate, using Circe's sharp blade work to instantly clear the flowers. Then using Hartok's Awaken special technique to provide the potatoes with sufficient moisture. There is not much time left until harvest, and the grain distributed as wages is also running low. Even demons who have adapted to hunger and eat very little can be seen to be quite exhausted. But at this moment, a strange voice comes from behind. The newcomer is unmistakably Second Lord Plumes, who has come specifically to express gratitude. But seeing his empty hands, I immediately feel an inexplicable anger. This guy comes to give thanks yet arrives empty-handed. Usually would he not bring a case of beverages or ginseng or something similar? But he is terrified by my murderous aura, immediately expressing that he will quickly dispatch subordinates to help with farming. Hearing this, I also slightly soften my expression. Indeed, these guys probably have nothing to eat either. I cannot constrain them according to Earth's culture. Currently, all we can hope for is that the potatoes grow safely to resolve this famine. I truly want to see these guys with full stomachs. Speaking of this, I suddenly question my original motivation for farming. At this time, Plumes interrupts my thoughts. Then, Demon King, I shall quickly reorganize the army. Looking at his departing figure, I somewhat lament this guy's humility. In the game, he's the lowest difficulty boss. Although he constantly emphasizes that strength is truth and shows great loyalty to the Demon King, his actual power is the weakest. This guy inherently belongs to the plant category, so perhaps he could have remarkable effects on farming. But who would have thought that Plumes, who appears so loyal, now harbors rebellious seeds in his heart, because this soil is too fertile? This is such abundant nutrition never felt in the decaying swamp. Since he was still a seedling, his soil has never contained any nutrients whatsoever. But if it is this land cultivated by Demon King Kratos, he absolutely has confidence in strengthening his power, even possibly usurping his position to become this Demon King. Under the scorching morning sun, I am leading a group of lovely demons in radio calisthenics. Beep 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 beep. Beep 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 beep. These guys were a complete mess initially, but unexpectedly, in just a few short days, they can already accurately follow my commands. It's truly the physique of the demon race. Even under sudden signals, they can accurately follow instructions. Left roll, right roll. Having basic stamina is essential for the hard work of farming. And now, even if I do not instruct them, they will perform well. At this time, Bahal shouts that something is terribly wrong. It turns out all the potato leaves have turned completely yellow. Upon hearing this, my heart immediately tightens. At the same time, the remaining 4 demon generals stare blankly at what lies before them. The assistant officer states that they have indeed been too strained. Circe beside him also shows disappointment. Even Instructor Hartok does not know why this is happening. Could it be due to insufficient moisture? Then he begins to mock himself as a fool for having expectations about farming for the first time. Just as their emotions plummet to the depths, I finally arrive belatedly. Then, under their focused gazes, I slowly crouch down to examine the leaves. But when I pull up a yellowed leaf, the bottom is actually covered with large soil clumps. This scene immediately surprises everyone. Although the potato color is somewhat lighter, compared to the first planting, the size has increased by fully twice. After roughly understanding the potato condition, I give a positive response. It should be said that the potato seeds have begun to awaken. They are absorbing nutrients from the leaves and growing robustly, all for the sake of becoming larger and more delicious. Everyone has worked hard, because this is your achievement. The moment my words end, each displays different emotions. Even Azarath feels immense comfort. The scene shifts. Inside the demon castle, I lie leisurely on the bed. At this time, I suddenly recall words I said to them before. This is your achievement. These same words I have heard before. Those were the words my grandmother used to praise me when I first successfully grew tomatoes, only I never got to let grandmother taste my harvest. She left me. Memories are brief. I quickly return my thoughts, and begin studying the next plan. According to the current situation, we can use the cultivated potatoes to help them survive the famine, but we cannot be careless. If we focus only on potatoes, we might die of starvation instantly due to potato blight, just like the Irish Great Famine. Currently, I must quickly find more seeds. However, at this moment, the earth suddenly shakes violently. I thought it was the epic level designer architect cutting corners, but unexpectedly, the roof suddenly cracks open. Then countless tentacles extend from underground. What the hell? This is a scene never seen in the game. At the same time, the little demon girl working diligently suddenly feels the potato leaves rapidly withering. According to the Demon King's instructions, this should be the potatoes absorbing their nutrients. Only the withering speed is too rapid. Even the root systems disappear into the soil in the blink of an eye. Then, when she curiously pulls out a potato, she discovers that the grown potato has vanished without a trace. How can the situation not make her panic? So with a tearful voice, she turns around, planning to quickly tell the Demon King. But the next second, she freezes in place. The majestic demon palace is actually tightly entangled by tree roots. And the Demon King is also held high by tree branches. Just like an insect, our great Demon King Kratos. Only now do I realize it is Second Lord Plumes. And this bastard actually absorbed the nutrients of the entire land to gain his current strength. But this statement strikes directly at my reverse scale. Damn bastard. To actually tamper with food. But my anger instead arouses his interest. Are you very angry now? But what can you do now? As his words end, he directly smashes me toward the ground. At this time, the 4 demon generals are desperately fleeing the demon castle. However, Bahal insists on going to rescue the Demon King. But in the others' view, if even they can escape, then the Demon King will surely be fine. But Bahal says something shocking. You are all wrong. The Demon King is actually very weak. When rescuing him on the cliff, I discovered he is very weak. At this time, I am just as Bahal described, being beaten mercilessly by Plumes. Without any resistance whatsoever, the sturdy Bahal wants desperately to save the situation. However, at this time, the Demon Generals see the culprit of this journey. The assistant officer quickly recognizes him. He is the Second Lord Plumes, like a divine being descending. These demon generals appear incredibly small before him. Demons, listen. Your Lord Demon King Kratos is dead. According to ancient demon law, power stems from strength. So from this moment on, I am your new Demon King. Before absolute power, all of you kneel before me. As his words end, a powerful pressure sweeps across the entire domain. The sturdy Hartok quickly assesses the situation. Plumes has absorbed all the nutrients from this soil. Since Kratos has fallen, then currently the strongest is Plumes before them. Although filled with reluctance, according to ancient rules, the demon race follows strength and power, in merely a moment. Except for Assistant Officer Chapiros, the remaining 4 demon generals all bow to the new Demon King and express tribute to the new Demon King of this land. Seeing the Assistant Officer beside them still unable to accept this, Azarath hurriedly reminds him to be polite to the new Demon King. Indeed so. This is the ancient rule of the demon race, although very unwilling. They can only submit to powerful strength. Meanwhile, I'm having a strange dream. Also my most unwilling memory to recall. Mother takes me to play in the amusement park. Mother tells me to count to 10 and she will appear. Mother says she is nearby. But, when I finish counting, she's disappeared without a trace. So I start over from the beginning, counting repeatedly until evening. But Mother's figure never appears again. This is the most painful memory in the depths of my heart. At this time, I hear the system's call. Jin Changzhe, cheer up. What is this situation? The system is actually calling my name. Move, and you can survive. Although I can clearly sense the system's urgency. This body seems to have lost control, without even the space to turn over. Fortunately, this hand shows some response. So I, grasping at this lifeline, through subtle perception, through the only consciousness available, continuously remind myself never to give up. Looking back at this time, Plumes, having subdued all the demon generals, begins executing the new Demon King's first mission. Remember this great first step. From this moment on, the demon race will invade human territory, rule and domesticate humans as our food. Actually, this should be the original intention that the 4 heavenly kings yearned for. To be able to fight heartily, to be able to fill hungry stomachs. This is also the instinct the demon race should possess. But when they truly hear this command, they cannot feel happy. Instead, their hearts fill with anger. However, Plumes disregards their thoughts, even commanding the demons to immediately take up weapons and march. But at this moment, Assistant Officer steps forward. Demon King, marching now presents some difficulties. Upon hearing this, not only Plumes, even the 4 demon generals feel surprised. According to the current demon provisions, there are only a few potatoes. As military rations for war, this is far from sufficient. However, what seems like reasonable logic, Plumes considers this blatant insubordination. So when everyone is completely unprepared, he abruptly thrusts out a tree branch, instantly grabbing the young demon girl. Seeing this, her father wants desperately to rescue her. Even Astaroth beside him feels angry. However, Plumes disregards everyone's emotions. You foolish fellow, military rations are already sufficient. Are there not as many of these weak and useless demons as we need for food? But upon hearing this, the little demon girl becomes indignant. No, we do not need to do that now. Even without mutual slaughter, we can survive. Our Demon King Kratos promised he would achieve this. However, the moment her words end, Plume's pupils widen instantly. The next second, the originally entangling tree branch is released without warning, and the little demon girl falls from the tremendous height. At the same time, buried deep underground, I can clearly feel my heart slowly stopping. But if I die like this, a group of lovely fellows will surely go hungry, and I cannot stand to see hungry demons most of all. With my heart-wrenching roar, the originally dead body begins to regain vitality, and I also regain control of my body, if that is the case. Plumes, you just wait for me. Looking back at the surface, as if hearing my roar, Astaroth, first among the 4 demon generals, steps forward to express his rebellious attitude. Because the lovely little demon girl is the strongest bond of this first-generation lightning rod. However, at this critical moment, I am still struggling desperately underground, although I can regain control of this body. What I feel is only exhaustion throughout my body, the pitch-black soil, groping without direction. At the same time, cowardly emotions begin to negate my judgment, whether the climbing direction is correct, whether what I am persisting in still has meaning. Under the influence of various negative emotions, I also begin to gradually lose fighting spirit. Not long ago, Astaroth's fearless action immediately shocks the remaining 4 demon generals. Not only the little demon girl in his arms, even the arrogant Plumes finds it hard to believe. Astaroth, what are you doing? Upon hearing this, he merely maintains his position blankly, then suddenly widens his eyes as if regaining consciousness. Seeing Plumes about to explode with rage, he hurriedly explains incoherently, "No, Demon King, she is merely my food. From before I had reserved this girl, thinking to consume her while fresh." However, before his words finish, he is met with Plumes' furious tree branches. In just one encounter, he is directly sent flying, bouncing several times on the ground, even losing consciousness. Seeing no more resistance, Plumes again commands preparation to attack humans. But what he never expected is that Assistant Officer steps forward once more. We have no legitimate reason for war, but behind such courage awaits the same fate as Astaroth. At this critical moment, a massive axe intercepts the attacking tree branch. The newcomer is unmistakably Bahal. Then he says even more shocking words. The Demon King assigned Assistant Officer a task. If he dies, no one will be able to count potatoes. That under his pressure, this guy still dares to resist. But it is not only Bahal who steps forward. This is not a decision to betray you. That is simply ridiculous. We simply believe that compared to attacking humans, the farming attempted by the previous Demon King is more reasonable. At the same time as these words end, Circe also voices her doubt. I have one question. The previous Demon King pointed out a path where no one would die. Why, when there is clearly a better method, would we still wage war? The successive resistance completely enrages Plumes. You bunch of trash, because I have power, I am power. But his furious pressure fails to intimidate the demons present. You are wrong. So-called authority is only established under reasonable conditions. Only Kratos is our Demon King. You bastard, return our potato field. However, the next second, seeing these ants have lost control, he directly thrusts countless tree branches at them. Fortunately, Hartok intervenes in time, saving the demons from disaster. On the other side, Bahal supports with both hands. Circe then throws him high into the air. At that moment, Circe instantly cuts through several tree branches. The rising height also happens to reach the opponent's eyes. Then I will first gouge out your eyes, accompanied by fury as she charges toward Plumes. But her figure has not yet approached when she is struck down by the opponent. At the same time, Bahal and Hartok also suffer fatal wounds. You ants dare to resist this Demon King. If that is the case, then all of you die. Through death, you will understand. I will make you know that compared to that useless Kratos, I am the truly great Demon King. Before me, you still dare to call that trash Demon King. A weak fellow who cannot even resist and dies, how is he stronger than me? Accompanied by his fury, numerous demon generals suffer one by one. And Japiros, who barely held on until now, is also about to face complete disaster. But at this moment, a familiar voice echoes throughout the entire domain. Little traitor, how can your self-esteem be so low? At the same time, a blood-red fist forcibly withstands Plumes' massive tree branch. The next second, the tree branch actually explodes from within. This scene shocks not only Plumes. Even the assistant officer beside him is amazed. Because I, who crawled out from the gates of hell, have comprehended a new skill. Attribute concentration. Not long ago, I was still in the abyss, about to lose my will. Childhood memories even surfaced in my mind. At that time, I was equally tormented. Even began to doubt why humans must live if life is so painful. At this time, Grandmother suddenly speaks, her voice filled with determination and hope. Do you know? Humans are like seeds. No matter how harsh the environment, they must strive with all their might to break through the soil, becoming a tender shoot full of life. When the first tender shoot bravely appears before us, other seeds will also be encouraged, and sprouts will begin to emerge everywhere. Someday this land will be covered in green. However, as soon as her words end, I become furious, no longer able to suppress my inner indignation. Do not say such mushy words. Father was clearly so good, yet only knew how to bury himself in work, ultimately dying without warning. Why did my mother abandon me? Am I just a rotten seed? Do not say such unreasonable words. I will also live only for myself like Mother. I want to succeed, then only care about myself, eating well, drinking well, living comfortably. But this was the last conversation with Grandmother. Even before leaving, Grandmother continuously repeated, to give my life meaning. We are seeds of hope. Thinking of this, infinite survival desire surges in my heart. The body occupied by cowardice regains vitality. At the same time, the system's voice suddenly sounds. Jin Chang Zhe, you have experienced the pain of death and rebirth. That will to transcend limits and spirit has opened a new system for you. Unlocking the Mana Seed system. This is something I never heard during my gaming period. But the system's prompts continue. As a generous reward for successfully being reborn 3 times, the Mana Seed system will activate starting from level 3. It will amplify all your ability values by a certain proportion. The initial amplification rate reaches 1.3 times. This is undoubtedly exciting news, but relying solely on the improved 30% attributes is still far from enough to escape from here. Fortunately, the system provides the final compensation, the Mana Seed system's active skill, Attribute Concentration. You can concentrate all your ability values into one attribute, usable once per day, lasting 10 minutes. Upon hearing this, I immediately widen my eyes, then impatiently deploy the new skill, concentrating all attributes into strength, making its value reach 155%. With this power, I easily climb out from underground. Obviously, my sudden appearance here also shocks Plumes. Kratos, you actually managed to survive from there. Regarding his question, I display a disdainful expression. You fool, are you blind? The agricultural team members beside me all cheer joyfully the moment they see me. My lovely little dragon also runs into my arms with tears streaming. Naturally, the severely wounded 4 demon generals are among them. Only in their view, my being able to return alive is fortunate. But the current Plumes is too powerful. Even the Demon King may not be able to defeat him. This is even better, Kratos. Now I will kill you and your subordinates. However, upon hearing this, I display a proud smile, because he cannot kill a single demon. No matter how this guy attacks with overwhelming size, he ultimately only acts according to the game's patterns. As long as I think of him as an enlarged game character, I can easily dodge his attacks. There is also the agricultural team, which has achieved perfect coordination through intense training. Then I shout loudly, agricultural team, listen to orders. Everyone quickly gather behind me. We are about to begin calisthenics, since I know Plumes' attack patterns from the game. Left jump, right jump, get down, left roll, continue rolling, push-ups, jump. I can lead the demons to avoid attacks. As expected, after several attacks fail to hit, Plumes' emotions begin to grow irritable. We only need to wait quietly, because his subsequent irritability will provide us with opportunities. As attacks arrive, I command the demons to make sharp turns, finally giving the opponent a disdainful gesture. This scene completely enrages Plumes, even entering a berserk state. But this is exactly the opportunity I have been waiting for. As long as I utilize game rules at this moment, I can completely defeat this scoundrel. The next second, I directly deploy the little milk dragon. The tiny figure swiftly ascends, then sprays extremely strong ice. Because no matter how developed my muscles are, attacking such a massive form with fists alone would be futile. But that guy is ultimately just a plant. If extremely low temperatures freeze his body, its volume will expand and tissues will rupture. In other words, the fellow who once appeared mighty with his massive size will be unable to endure, ultimately self-destructing. Even his massive body begins to gradually freeze. The sturdy little dragon excitedly returns along the original path, but he is already exhausted and gasping for breath. The task of delivering the fatal blow to the enemy naturally falls to me, the Demon King. The next second, I fiercely burrow underground, shouting my ancestors' names as I charge toward Plumes. Because I know, another fatal weakness of large trees is this guy's navel. When my fist strikes, starting from the nostril-like cavity, instantly shattering his formidable defense. Seeing this, everyone finds it hard to believe. They never expected the Demon King to actually achieve victory. However, at the same time, I fall powerlessly from the sky, as the attribute concentration time limit expires. In contrast, Plume's body continues to crack and shatter. Eventually, even his intelligent eyes can only close helplessly. Even at the end, only his body remains. Yet seeing this scene, I cannot feel joy. According to the game's memory, if this enemy was defeated, his body would dissolve into light particles and completely disappear. Sure enough, as if confirming my ominous premonition, new saplings begin to grow again from the previously barren soil, then transforms into another humanoid form. Damn it, at this moment I have absolutely no strength left. In contrast, this enemy now stands before me in a different form. It turns out this enemy uses the fertile soil to concentrate all his power in one place before dying, thus reshaping his physical body. He also declares that he is a seed that fell into a poisonous swamp, growing as a cursed sprout. Therefore, after gaining the Demon King's power, covering the entire world with poison is his mission. After saying this, he mercilessly swings his transformed great sword. However, just as I think I will perish here, Bahal suddenly appears and desperately swings his axe. Though his full force strike hits the opponent's neck, it only leaves a faint wound. In contrast, what awaits him is a resounding slap, yet the battle does not end. The next to appear is Circe. Then comes Hartok. Finally, Asaroth. Under their concentrated attack, Asaroth actually manages to sever the opponent's neck. Light particles begin to emerge from the neck wound, then spread throughout the entire body. Finally, not only the reshaped flesh, but even the original massive body transforms into countless light particles. The next second, these countless light particles illuminate the entire night sky. Fortunately, my beloved demons and the 4 demon generals, though all severely injured, suffer no casualties. Just as grandmother's final advice stated, we are seeds that other seeds can observe and draw power from. With Hartok's loud cheer, a group of beloved demons and demon generals also begin to celebrate joyfully, even shouting long live credos. However, having recovered some strength, I cannot bring myself to cheer, because the cost of this victory is too devastating. I look around with painful eyes. The fertile soil, the abundant potatoes, have all been reduced to nothing. If we must start from scratch to replant potatoes, these dear companions will be trembling with hunger again. Moreover, with everything in such chaos, how can I command them to work the fields? No, I cannot be so cruel as to make them work like that. Little do I know that while I hang my head in despair, the energy bodies that became light particles begin to slowly drift down, and when one of them touches a potato leaf, a miraculous reaction occurs.